Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and do roll call for quorum. Commissioner Myers,
Here.
Danielle McGill. Glenn Brown. Here. Mike Lacy. Present. Artie Fryer. Here. Craig Purcell. Here. Michelle.
Here.
Yeah. Maya.
Here.
Christina.
Here.
Beth.
Here.
Marcella.
Here.
Deborah. She don't.
Here.
Jennifer.
Here.
Alexia.
Here.
Councilman Schisler. Here. Kristen Thomas. She's on work.
Here.
John Vargas. Cassandra Blaylock.
Here.
There we go.
Okay, number one. Anyone for public comments? No public comments? Okay, let us prove the minutes for April 25th, 2025, and June 7th, 2025. Can I get a motion? Motion to approve both sets of minutes. Second. Give a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Go back to the action items. While you up again.
Good
Morning.
morning. So just for, you guys to know, we can go ahead and go over the transportation disadvantage service plan again, or we could just go ahead and vote on it since most of the board is already.
What is your pleasure, the board? It was presented at the last meeting, June meeting, but we did not have a quorum to vote. So this morning we will be voting. Anyone need an update of the plan? Oh, we can go ahead and vote. What is your pleasure, board?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion to approve, say aye. Aye. Any opposers? That motion is carried. Next, we have, Ms. Harmony McGee. Harmony? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Harmony McGee. I'm the Community Relations Coordinator for the TDO.
Harmony, can you speak a little bit louder? Is the microphone on, please?
So today I will be presenting the public participation plan update. Just a little bit about what the public participation plan is. It is a set of guidelines and procedures for how we conduct public engagement. It is updated every 2 to 3 years and was previously updated in 2022. It is important to note that the things that are outlined in the PPP are things that we must hold ourselves accountable to. Along with the PPP, it coincides with the measures of effectiveness report, which you all received in March. The measures of effectiveness report made a series of recommendations that will be discussed in this presentation. So for the PPP changes, we have standardizing public notice times, printed media, the TBO priority list public meeting, addressing recommendations from the MOE, and the public participation toolbox. So starting off with standardizing public notice times, we have set at least 10 days prior to the TBO that we provide public notice or advance notice to the public for the meetings. This change is due to difficulties that staff is having on the back end, especially when trying to coordinate with the newspaper, because the newspaper has varying deadlines. Standardizing the timeline on our end helps to create more ease in that process. Now for printed media, we would like to propose that we revise the PPP to allow staff discretion in using printed media rather than requiring it for newspaper ads. This comes after a study that we did during the Transportation Improvement Program's public engagement. We used unique QR codes to track the engagement that we were receiving on the newspaper ads, and we found that they weren't always the most cost-effective method. So we would like to use them at discretion rather than our requirement. It is important to know that we wouldn't completely remove newspaper ads because, for example, for TV, we are required to do a legal ad. So for legal requirements, for the TBO priority list, the TBO has now implemented the practice of presenting the tip and the TBO priority list as. Due to this change, the PPP will no longer require that the TBO priority list be approved at a public hearing. And we have also set a 15-day review period for the TBO priority list to give community members time to review the document. This will also help to reduce confusion between the TIP and the TBO priority list by having them be able to be presented at separate meetings. Now we'll move forward by addressing the MOE recommendations. So just as a refresher of what those recommendations were, they were to make our surveys more ADA compliant, addressing sign postings for the TIP, standardizing meeting postponements, combating survey fatigue, expanding our presence on YouTube, and evaluating the committee process. So for our first recommendation of making our surveys ADA compliant, the PPP identifies SurveyMonkey and Survey123 as the two platforms that we would like to use moving forward. ADA compliance is such a strong emphasis for us, just because of examples like our engagement on Bush Boulevard. We were able to engage the visually impaired community, and because of that, the infrastructure there, the pedestrian infrastructure, had vocalization features added to that design. So without the ability to engage the visually impaired community, we wouldn't be able to make changes like that. So for the MOE recommendation for road signs, we would like to revise the PPP to allow staff discretion in using road signs. This is similar to the study that we did for the printed media. We used unique QR codes to track the engagement that we were getting on the signs, and we found that they were not always cost effective. They also require a lot of staff time and labor when putting them out. And they can also pose a potential hazard to those that are driving, trying to scan a QR code while you're driving and engaging with the sign. It's not always the safest thing to do. Next, for postponing meetings, we have set a 4 calendar day window to cancel or postpone a meeting, and this would be at the discretion of the TPO director in consultation with the committee liaison. This is especially important during seasons like hurricane season to give committee members ample time to prepare and set an expectation of what your participation will look like during that time. The other MOE recommendations are addressed by the public engagement toolbox. The public engagement toolbox can be found in Appendix C of the document. It outlines various strategies that TPO staff can use to do public engagement. So for an example, TPO staff might choose to use a focus group rather than a survey to address survey fatigue. Or another example would be utilizing Reels and YouTube Shorts to address expanding our online presence. So for Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, they are short form videos that tend to be more engaging than like a 3-minute video. They're typically about 60 to 90 seconds. And those would help expand our online presence by delivering information in more quick and accessible format. So the public engagement toolbox gives us gives staff the flexibility to cater the public engagement methods, the unique needs and concerns of the study and the community that is being served. Now I will share the feedback that we received from the committees and the TPO board. Feedback on the PPP has been received from the Technical Advisory, Citizen Advisory, and Intelligent Transportation Systems Committees. While the Local Roadways Committee did not provide detailed comments, they recommended that the board approve the plan as it was an action item for their review. Regarding signage, some members recommended maintaining and enhancing its use with larger formats and short links for those who prefer not to use QR codes. Others supported giving staff flexibility to determine when road signs are the most effective tool, provided that clear standards are established for when and where they are used. For both printed media and signage, some members emphasized that evaluations should consider factors beyond return on investment, while others prioritize cost effectiveness across all engagement methods. When discussing alternatives to newspaper advertisements, mailing-based outreach emerged as the most popular approach, with suggestions including utility bill inserts, driver's license renewal inserts, and postcards. Additional ideas included placing materials in doctors' offices, community centers, pharmacies, and convenience stores, as well as creating an opt-in text messaging system to send alerts. Geofencing was also mentioned as an idea that can be explored, as it allows for outreach within defined areas and provides measurable engagement metrics. Questions were also raised regarding whether these proposed changes would conflict with Title VI requirements. TPO staff have confirmed that they do not. The TPO board also received this item as a status report. Many were in support of the overall recommendations and supported giving staff discretion to be strategic with how and when engagement methods are utilized. There were some concerns regarding recommended changes to the printed media and road signs, with board members advising staff to ensure a comprehensive approach is taken when considering how to best reach the community. So again, the changes that we made to the PPP are all designed to make us more efficient and effective in how we do public engagement. This document is currently open for a 45-day review period, so we still are receiving comments on this document. Also specifically comments regarding our approach to public noticing with the newspaper advertisements. So today's recommended action would be recommending that the TPO board approve the public participation plan update. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much for the overview of the public participation plan. Have any questions? Go ahead.
In terms of you talked about the cost. So on the one hand, I can see with the newspaper and the road signs being an engagement issue. But then you talk about printing and putting things out. I see that as a possible cost issue. How are you balancing the two? Because it's probably going to be a lot more expensive to do the mailings and the flyers and all that. Are you prepared to make adjustments for that?
Yes, we plan to do a cost comparison once we move towards that strategy. I will say that for the postcards, we did postcards for the transportation improvement program. And while I don't have the exact cost number for them, we use unique QR codes to track engagement on them, and they were more effective than the signs. So we do have that data to compare.
It's good. Well, you might also want to look at, what is the cost of not having the engagement that you hope to have? So it's a sort of meta look at what you're doing so that people can see, yes, upfront, it's going to cost us more to do this, but in terms of engagement, we're going to save money down the line because we're going to deal with fewer complaints. We're going to deal with fewer, other issues related to people not being engaged in what's going on. Just a thought.
Thank you. Back to that.
I'm wondering, is there our thought of having those QR code things instead of on the roadway, which are like you mentioned, are somewhat dangerous. In that immediate area, that shopping center, that store right there, that where people can get out of their car and safely do the QR code. Is there any of that going on as well as a roadside sign?
Yes, for a lot of studies, TBO staff usually try to go to nearby community centers to place flyers. And that's also one of the strategies that we have listed in the question and feedback slide. So that is something that we try to do, but maybe also considering amplifying that effort a little bit more to kind of.
I was just thinking that sign off the roadway would be practical. On the roadway, hardly at all.
Right, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I just make sure I got a clarification?
Go ahead.
I think the idea of having a sign at places where people frequent often, grocery stores in particular, I'm not sure if I heard an exact response on where you all stand with that.
Yes,
Is that being considered or not?
yes, it is being considered. It is also a strategy that's outlined in our public participation toolbox.
For
So that is also something that TPO staff already currently do. But it could be a strategy that we amplify in replacement of signs as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Board members? Then I'm going to make a motion to approve the public participation plan.
Mr. Free. Brown, second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? That motion is carried. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't have a presentation, it's just more of a topic for discussion. So the action item is exploring options for the bylaw amendment, as it relates to quorum. So currently, right now, the TDCB has a in-person quorum of 10. And what we're proposing is reducing the in-person quorum from 10 to 9.
Stand while can you turn the lights back on?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I wanted to bring that to the CD board, that way we can make sure that all items, whenever they're presented or voted on, and approved.
Is that still within the guidelines, but still within?
Yeah, so what the recommendation would be, like, if you guys are okay with it, we would go and say, this is what we're gonna do. To reduce it by 1.
Any questions?
Reducing it by one, will that make enough of a difference? If you look back at kind of history where we didn't have a quorum, how many people were missing?
Right.
The effect.
So, for example, we're pretty good on quorum. I only talk about the time that I've been liaison in terms of the consistency of quorums. So I took over for Allison in August of 2023. And from August 2023 to today, I've only missed quorum twice. But the issue is in this past June, we had the TDSP that wasn't voted on. And because of that, we missed out on some money that was related to the team grant. So we weren't in compliant with the team because we were one member away from voting. So in order to prevent future instances that could occur in future, we're exploring the option of perhaps reducing the in-person quorum 10 to 9.
Reducing the 9, we also get to look at it as an alternate.
Yeah, I'll talk about more about the TD grant later today, but I wanted to bring that to the board and see what you guys thought.
What part of a quorum is the online thing? How does that?
So online counts for attendance. So let's say for your attendance, if you were to attend online, it would be like you attended virtually, but you're not able to vote unless there's an in-person quorum.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, quick question. You mentioned June. Is that any consideration, maybe moving the meeting during the summer months because of, vacation and schooling, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Maybe that might be what caused that forum not to be, up to par.
Right, so that is what we're thinking about, because the TD grant requires that that we have 4 meetings per like year. So 1 meeting per quarter. Some we have twice, some we only have once. So I think for the first quarter, we're probably gonna only have 1. The second quarter, we have 2 meetings, third quarter, we have 1. It's weird, because we have 6. But yes, we're looking at exploring that as a possibility. I will go more into detail later, but yeah, we're thinking about maybe doing the public workshop in June. And kind of make it more inclusive, rather than just it be like a presentation that we've been doing. Maybe have more of the agencies kind of come, talk about what you guys do and how it relates to the TV program. But yeah, our goal would be now in the future that have all TV required products voted on by the April meeting. In case there's no quorum in April, we can have an emergency meeting to put on. That's answer your question.
Councilman,
I don't know, you only meet every other month. It's not that arduous. To try to keep them 160 days, that's, I don't think we should change that. We're not serving our constituents well, we're not meeting on that regular basis. It's just my personal opinion.
It seems like it's the same people that you hear from in person versus the same that are online. Is there a way to reach out to people that are not coming in and try to make sure that they're coming or making that more of a priority? Because it does seem like it's the same people that are usually all the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't wanna put, online versus in person.
No.
against each other, but,
Well, if it's a requirement to be
Right,
here
right.
for voting purposes, I think there is some valid,
I think that's I don't think that's not an invalid concern. But I definitely, that is an option. I mean, life happens. Sometimes people can't make it. And, the fact that they do take the time to be online, I think is, still applicable, like, still good, but, the TPO stance is that we encourage people to be in person. Can't force people to be encouraging.
let me just share some light with this. It's a commitment on the board members to be at the meeting. So if you really want to participate and have your voice heard, you need to be in the meeting where the vote counts. Okay, we get this online, but if you really want to participate and have your voice heard, you need to be in the meeting for the vote. I'm saying that as a commissioner.
Not giving your representation any good by not shutting down, by representing an outside agency that is, that we, as representative part, county commission, I've said this for months ago, we're trying to provide your people with what they need. If you don't have the commitment to come to the meeting, then tell your boss to let them appoint somebody else. I mean, it's 1 meeting every other month. I'm sorry. I've harped on this too much. I realize that. I apologize. But you're not serving your people. You're not serving your constituents.
Is there any process to have a proxy come in your stead? Does it take you to do
That
that?
alternate?
Yeah,
Yeah, you just say, I want to name, I don't know.
before the meeting.
Yeah,
Then
just
you
like, yeah, you send me, and
before
then
the meeting.
what we do is we get them approved by the TPO board and get a welcome letter and then go.
Okay.
So as long as you can get that before the TPO board meeting, and
Good morning, Mary.
Johnny Wong, CPO Director. So we are very aware that life happens, right? And it's the duty and obligation of everyone who commits to serve on one of our advisory person, participate. And while the TV board has historically done a great job of which forum, the conversation around the table is absolutely correct. Life happens. There could be any unanticipated event that affects a number of you at any given time. The reason why we're recommending to drop the quorum by 1 is really a result of what happened in June. So the CTC evaluation, we weren't able to vote and approve that because there wasn't a quorum. That CTC evaluation cannot be moved up significantly in future years. So while we would have liked to bring that for your approval in April or May, the timeline of the evaluation just doesn't allow for it. Every year, we're going to find ourselves in the same situation where this board only ourselves to get the votes that we need. Does that make sense? All right, thank you all.
Yeah, I think that maybe a little short note next time explaining what has happened. That, it was a shame we didn't have quorum because we, lost some funding. That maybe would make people think a little bit more about, I should try to come.
Any other comments?
How many total people are on this? We're supposed to be here. Good, everybody.
We only have one vacancy, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19.
I just always look, because then if you drop to 9, it's below 50%. I just have a hard time, like, if we're voting on stuff, you're requiring less than half the group to agree on something, which I don't think is necessarily a good practice, but that's just me, and based on boards and groups I've been in, we usually look at like 50% or more to approve something.
Does anybody has legal counsel to apply that it might be legitimate to satisfy state requirements? Because you always have the votes count. Your online votes would count towards a motion, but they just don't count they wouldn't count to establish a physical quorum. So unless, as long as it's legitimate, legal, to drop it to 9, you have an opinion. I would do that.
It is, that would be consistent with the requirements for some of our other committees. CAC, for example, they have a full membership of about 34 seats, and the quorum for the Citizens Advisory Committee is only 7. There's no statutory requirement for it to be 50% plus 1. It's really up to the each individual board to decide what the quorum should be. In this case, we're proposing 9 because that would be consistent with the LRC and the BPAC committees. They currently have quorums of 9 or of 9.
Yes.
I could have one suggestion, and it might be, so some of us are state agencies, bro, say like, I think what APDs represent, we have 3 alternates, so there's almost always somebody here from us, but if you think of other agencies, I think it'd be easier if you could just say like someone from APD. Because, my team is 2 people, and we have 11 counties. But if you want just someone from APD, I could guarantee someone from APD every single time. We have enough staff for that. But if you want like Mike Lacey or Deborah Noel, like we're here most of the time, but there's going to be certain days where again, just like we have, other counties who have the exact same thing going on, and it's kind of whoever we, RSVP with first, is where we go. So I think that might give some of the state agencies some leeway if it's just like someone from that agency has to show up, as opposed to a specific person from that agency has to show up.
I think have an alternate and submit an alternate name in and get it approved. So that if the actual appointed board member is not here to attend, the alternate come, and then we can still carry out the action that we need to when we have board meeting. Does everyone has an alternate represented? Yeah, I think it's something that we need to consider to make your representation of you here when we have board meeting. It's not a difficult task to go back and ask your agency to appoint someone, and all the names can come in at the same time, and if keep your board with on those names, on the alternates. Can we agree to that? Absolutely need to take action, because we don't want to stop the process and we don't want to lose funding. Okay? And so we appreciate everyone taking the time to come to the meeting and your commitment, but when we get ready to take care of action items, we need to make sure that we're able to do that at a scheduled board meeting.
One night, I've already said it before, but probably if we could make it clear on the announcement, that here comes this meeting. And this is gonna be an action item meeting. We really need quorum. That maybe would complete somebody as well.
Well, I think staff reaches out to all of us when we know the scheduled meeting, when we see the agenda, we see the action items that are listed on the agenda. Excuse me, on the agenda. So not gonna be we're not gonna drag this wagon to death. So do we have a motion?
Which approved the, nine member forum, status change, as well as asking the individual who's to assign an alternate to get that possible. Sure, but that person's got to be approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to prove.
I think let's make it a separate. Let's do the first action item. Motion first.
Approve the change in the bylaws to allow for a nine-member forum.
We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? That motion is
One opposed.
okay. We have one opposed. Take a minute. Okay. In your name, I can't see. Can you turn your?
I'm sorry, Jennifer.
Now, go to our council, make a second.
Recommend that every agency supply or provide an alternate name to the original regular member can't attend any given meeting, an alternate to be able to understand, and that individual be appointed and approved by teaching stadium as necessary.
I'd second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? That motion is carried. Thank you all so much for your participation. Then we're right into status reports. Oh, Johnny. Good morning.
Good morning, again.
Should be the.
Oh, they got my new gear.
Yeah, share your screen.
All right, well, I'll start talking while you get that set up. Johnny Wong, again, TPO Director. This morning, I'm gonna brief you on blocking the box, going over what that is, why it's a problem, and what's in the planner's toolbox to address box blocking. The reason why I created this presentation is not relevant to any planning studies that we currently have going. This was actually a request from one of my board members who noticed that box blocking is a problem in the community that they serve. So they asked me to return and provide some information. Well, that was the request from the TPO board. Why am I bringing it to the team? Is it to fill time on the agenda? Maybe a little bit of that. But the real reason why I'm bringing this is because as I was conducting some research on box blocking, I discovered that it is a significant problem for the TD population. All right, so what is box blocking? Box blocking, or blocking the box, occurs when vehicles impede traffic by entering an intersection and they're unable to exit. Some jurisdictions refer to this as gridlocking, obstructing. It is a problem for both drivers and pedestrians because it impacts traffic flow in all directions. It impedes cross traffic, prevents smooth traffic flow, creates a domino effect in all directions. So when vehicles enter an intersection and they're not able to pass through before the light turns red, it creates this long consequence where cross traffic is delayed from entering the intersection. Drivers going in the cross direction get frustrated that their time was cut short. They tend to then block the blocks, and it just spirals for many, many cycles until the traffic is sufficiently light that folks kind of say, all right, enough is enough. I'm not going to enter the intersection anymore. It is a problem for drivers. Yes, we know. Many of us may have experienced it, maybe even the perpetrators at one point in time. The effect is significant for wheelchair users, especially those with transportation disadvantaged characteristics who are not able to walk quite as well. Cyclists, pedestrians, but wheelchair users. There's a ton of research on the impacts of blocking the box on folks who are in wheelchairs. And I found that they are 33% more likely to be killed in crashes at intersections than other pedestrians. So what can we do about it? Thankfully, there is a pretty robust toolbox that planners can rely on to prevent or limit opportunities for drivers to block the box. First, I'll go to the MUTCD, the Manual Uniform Traffic Control Device Manual. Pavement markings. This is kind of like tool number one in the toolbox. Pavement markings apply to intersections, signal to drivers that they are not allowed to stop their vehicle in the intersection. I pulled some examples from the US as well as examples from around the world. Not necessarily MUTCD, that's like a specifically American application, but other nations have an equivalent. So this is what a pavement marking in the US looks like to signal to drivers not to stop. A crosshatch box, don't stop in the cross. This is an example from the UK, a little bit more decorative, but conveys roughly the same point. These PowerPoint slides are going slow on this screen, so I noticed the ones on the side of the room are picking it up earlier. This is a third example from the NACTO design guide. And a fourth one, which is a pavement marking with also text. Couldn't be any clearer than that. Keep clear, stay out of this. This is an example from Australia. Second tool in the toolbox, aside from pavement markings, signage. There's an old adage in the planning profession that folks don't really obey signs, right? We know from many years of research that a posted speed limit does not dictate the speed that people are actually driving. So the effectiveness of signage is kind of limited. Research studies don't show that these are really great at preventing box blocking, but used in conjunction with pavement markings and other treatments, they can help. So the MUTCD provides signage options. Do not block intersections mounted over roadways. Keep clear text messages. If there is a fine to be levied, that is often posted underneath the do not block sign. Here's an example from Georgia. This is a redesign of the traditional don't block the box signage, which was rolled out as part of a large statewide campaign to address this issue. This is a third one from New York City. These are all over the place, just about every intersection in New York City, as you might imagine, especially in Manhattan, where traffic is gridlocked 90% of the time. Blocking the box is a serious issue. Is signage effective? It's not the most effective. As you can see from this image that I doctored up, this is Times Square in New York. There are signs, the one circled in red, it's mounted in the intersection, but as you can see, people aren't really obeying that. There's also crosshatching, which raises the question, are pavement markings really effective? Not on their own. The most effective treatment is a suite of solutions that are rolled out simultaneously. Found a couple of research studies, one from 2018, I want to say. The Georgia Department of Transportation looked at the operational effectiveness of doing a suite of solutions all at once. Public service announcements were a part of that campaign. To get the word out, they filmed a lot of videos with law enforcement explaining what blocking the box is, showing the impacts, and letting folks know, don't do this, you can get ticketed. There is an advocacy organization in New York that has done the same thing with a funnier twist. In the PowerPoint slides that are in your packet, I included links so you can go watch some of these videos because many of them are pretty funny. Don't be a Scot. This is an example from Austin, Texas, which was also pretty funny, so I included that link here. Moving more into the traffic engineering space, what can traffic engineers who control the signals and hence control the flow through intersections do? Number of treatments, most notably traffic signal optimization. Imagine that you're driving downtown on Kennedy Boulevard. Through downtown, it's a one-way. All traffic is directed westbound, right? We see a lot of folks blocking the box when we're walking around at lunchtime. Also morning, afternoon rush hour, because that's the peak. That's when gridlock is most likely to occur. See that happening a lot around this building. The way to flush that traffic is to have traffic signals upstream hold their green long enough that cars can kind of get through that intersection, and then the intersection downstream gets the red. Does that make sense? So give a little bit more time for all the cars to get through the intersection, and then you give them the red. Second is automated enforcement. Cameras with license plate readers, automatically generating a ticket if you happen to get caught in a red signal through an intersection. And then last suite of improvements in the toolbox, or last tool in the toolbox, is ordinance enforcement. Blocking the box is prohibited under county statute. Hillsborough County Sheriff, TPD, they're all able to enforce this as either a moving violation or an obstruction. We know their time is limited, so, you know, unless there's a specifically problematic intersection, not likely that they're going to stage an effort to cut tickets. But if the community sees that a particular intersection has led to a near miss, knock on wood, hopefully not an injury or a fatality, but if it is becoming a problem, we can get on the phone with law enforcement and ask them to go out and do either an education or a ticketing campaign. I'll end with saying that I think it may be worthwhile for the TPO to get involved as a partner initiative. We alone can't do anything to prevent blocking the box. That's not really the MO of long-range transportation planning, but Tampa in partnership with TPD, Hillsborough County Sheriff, City of Tampa, Hillsborough County, we'd be happy to shoot a series of videos to start the conversation, get the ball rolling with some PSAs. I think that's well within our capabilities to do. Any questions about this? This was more informative. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this isn't brought to you because we're doing any planning studies, but as Harmony just discussed, we have a new updated public participation plan. We're going to be leaning more into videos. This could become a part of that.
As mentioned, you know, it's usually rush hour when I've seen this, or been the person doing it, but it wasn't because I wanted to. It was because in part traffic lights. More often than not, recently, it's been because of construction. I've been stuck in where 7 blocks up, the construction crews are blocking the road, and we're all backed up, and everyone's got to get some. So I think the minority of the people do it on purpose. The majority of us find ourselves in this situation because one, timing, or two, construction, or something that it usually is during peak hours. So there are more cars on there. And of course, on Kennedy going west, it's fine, but if you're coming back through the city from the west, the timing of the lights are really weird. So anyway, there's my sort of discussion.
That's my own personal experience as well. I don't think most folks are trying to block the box. You know, they're looking to get through. They're expecting that the light will stay green long enough for them to move through, and they just get caught. So if we were to take this on, I think the style and tone of the PSA would not be victim blaming in the same way that you saw with Austin. It would be just for education.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the whole concept, block the box, I really think what you're getting at. But I found often it's the synchronization of the signals that creates a problem, along with construction and everything associated with that. But much like, and I think the PSAs are going to be great, because I think they're going to be good to do that. But much like our last issue, until it costs the driver money, they're not going to be incentivized to pay attention. Well, I can get in there and I'll just wait. It's not my fault. They'll have to wait for me to get done, irrespective of what happens to everybody else involved in that intersection. So I look forward to this happening and sooner rather than later.
I'm sorry. I think the idea of making sure people understand the problem. I read Block the Box and I kind of surmised what it was talking about, but there very well may be people who don't know what that means until it's described. So if we're going to do some videos or such, I think that education slash informing people what happens. And problems that it generates might make people more sensitive. I think fines work, but I do believe most times when people understand the reason why, it helps. So I would just suggest that however these are designed, as you said, it's not to criticize, but it's to inform. With an emphasis on safety, highway safety, because I think we all can relate to that.
As we start to storyboard this and workshop the video, I would love to get in contact with you all if you have anyone from your respective organizations who would like to participate. Speaking about understanding the impact, I would love to get a wheelchair user or someone with walking limitations to help us show how blocking the box becomes a challenge for those with mobility limitations to cross the risk that they're under.
One thing I see all the time is someone deciding situational ethics. I waited so long that I don't care that the light is red, I'm gonna go anyway, you know? But you go, what are you doing, people? It's red, not barely red, but yeah, they're just like, I've waited so long, I deserve to go, like, got it. That's the public, that's crazy.
Yeah, someone online put that, what if drivers could see a countdown just the same way pedestrians do when they cross the street? This way drivers would know how much time they have to make it.
That's an interesting technology. I've seen that implemented in all places. Cuba, actually, they have countdowns for traffic signals. I haven't seen many of those in the US, but that's something we can speak with the city and DOT about to see every year, to see what the cost of countdown traffic signals are.
That's good. One you might want to reach out to, I don't think they're here today, is Division of Line Services. I know they would probably have a population be very interested in. Oh, there you are. You over there? Oh, there we go. So I've worked with people who have vision impaired and I've just watched them walk into the cars, you know, when we're trying to train them, you know, because they don't realize there's someone in the intersection that shouldn't be. Thanks.
Can you say that again?
People with vision impairments, like people blocking intersections is like this mentioned wheelchairs, but people with vision impairments, very serious for them. They often don't, you know, they expect to not have a car there.
Right.
And then there is, you know, even when they're getting, you know, they have all the other ADA things. They have the beeping crosswalks and, you know, this is and that's, and then, you know, like that's when we train people with an IAPD's thing, we kind of have to let them do that to kind of teach them that like, don't always expect this to be clear. We're going to let them sort of walk into that car the first couple of times to teach them that like, you always have to think there's something there.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that's one of the challenges that, you know, our clients come to face is doing this, the path is clear enough for them to see. But, to be honest, too, those intersections that are very busy are the ones they try to avoid. Because you never know, they're not that, comfortable trying to, you know, go from one to another. But I'll be very happy to partake in that.
Yeah, all right, great. Well, thank you. As this develops, we'll come back and bring you information. And we'll reach out to see if you can nominate some actors to participate in the videos with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. What's that on?
Try.
That way we can wake up in the week.
Does work for that too, doesn't it? You're presenting.
Yeah.
I was trying to save stuff.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Wally Clark, field staff, and I'm gonna be talking about the transportation disadvantage planning. So the purpose of this agreement is to provide financial assistance to accomplish the duties and responsibilities of the official planning agency in regard to the Transportation Disadvantage Program. The TD planning grant is set forth by the Florida Commission for the Transportation Disadvantage the CTD, and set forth in chapter 427, Florida statutes rule 41-2. This past TPO board meeting on August 13th, 2025, TPO board officially approved the $57,308 that Hillsborough County received for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. So how does the TD planning grant funds work? Well, the grantee will provide the initial funds necessary for the completion of the project. Then the commission will compensate the grantee upon receipt and approval of said deliverables. And we are not allowed to exceed the estimated project cost. And then also TPO has to stay within budget, it has to complete the project, and then we receive money. All funds from the TD trust fund may only be used for planning activities per section 4.10. TPO staff prepares and presents required tasks to be voted and approved by the TDCB. Once approved by the TDCB, we send the products over to the CTD. And then we complete a quarterly invoice and send that to the CTD where we detail what we completed and send them things like the meeting minutes as well as the completed products. And then once received and reviewed, the TPO is reimbursed by the CTD. So what are the required tasks? So, as I mentioned, we develop and annually update the transportation disadvantage service plan. We either conduct an annual evaluation of the community transportation coordinator, the CTC evaluation, or we solicit and recommend a CTC to the CTE. We're required to meet once per quarter, so a minimum of 4 times per year. The Hillsborough TDCB, we meet 6 times per year. We're also required to hold 1 annual public workshop, and we develop and annually update and review bylaws and agreements procedures. We submit an annual operating report and an annual expenditures report. The AER is the only one that doesn't necessarily have to be approved by the board. We send that directly to the CT. And then also we complete quarterly progress reports, and we're required as a planning agency staff, which is me, we have to attend 1 CTE sponsored training per year. So why do I bring this up? We kind of talked about it earlier, but the June meeting that just occurred last meeting, what is it? Well, so we presented the annual updates to the TDCB, to the CDSP. It was a minor update, but due to a lack of quorum, as I mentioned, 9 in-person members present, the TDCB was unable to vote and take official action. And we were required to have all TD products in and approved to the CTD by June 30th, 2025. So what happened was, as Johnny mentioned, we didn't receive certain funds. So we had to pay that money out of pocket. We received money back from the CTD. So we kind of talked about it. Our presentation stuff. But anyways, so what are we doing as the next steps? We're reaching out, and we've named someone for the citizen advocate position, which was vacant. So this is going to help us have more voting members so that we can ensure that we have quorum at future meetings. As we mentioned, and we voted on to name an alternate, and then as I told you all, we'll work to bring all TD products before the board by April 2026. That way, in case there's an extra meeting, in case we don't have quorum, we can have that extra meeting to make sure it doesn't transpire again. What's going on with the laptop, but yeah, that concludes, and then also the public workshop will be. So that concludes my presentation. Next steps.
Okay, any questions?
I just have a comment. I just want to say, I've been on this board a long time. I think it's important other board members understand, that there's real consequences, not only to the people we serve, but losing funding. I think that should be, that should be known, right? That that's something that happened. And, you know, I didn't know that as a board member on here, that there was that potential consequence. So I appreciate you bringing this to our attention and really breaking it down.
And as a liaison, I'll take the blame for it because I'm the one that, makes sure that all the products are, done, we get them on the agenda and we bring them towards to you. So it kind of lands on me. So I'll fall on the sword, but, I want to let you guys know as well what the grant entails and how that impacts us, what we do.
And thank you so much for your presentation. On what? We're the air monitoring secretary. Good morning.
Good morning. Wyatt Burchell, TPO staff, to provide an update on the Community Air Monitoring Network. As many of you know, the Community Air Monitoring Network is a project that establishes low-cost air sensors around I-4 and I-275 near interstates to measure traffic-related air pollution. The last time I was at the TDCB was in June to give a partner update on this project. And since then, there are a few things to update you on. The Hillsborough Transportation Planning Organization was recognized by the Florida chapter of the American Planning Association for excellence in the Hillsborough for the Hillsborough Community Air Monitoring Network. In the Excellence and Grassroots Initiative category, this is presented at the Florida chapter of the American Planning Association at its annual conference and highlights outstanding planning initiatives that improve the quality of life in communities across Florida. And these projects represent best practices in planning, conservation, development, and public engagement. That project award will be next month, and we're grateful to all of the partners, including University of South Florida, the Environmental Protection Commission, and of course, all the community groups that we work with, and sharing that award and recognition with them all. Also, since we last met, we held a coalition meeting in person at the Tampa Heights Junior Civic Association, and we presented on the community planning process, in particularly the Transportation Planning Organization, its various committees, and the different ways that coalition members can get involved. We've received great feedback from the coalition, including practical steps that TPO committees can take and pursue. In particular, the Livable Roadway Committee received a lot of suggested topics, including taking a look at how bad air quality is affecting those at transit shelters, providing for more transit shelters, consideration for different modes of travel, dedicated bus lanes, and taking a look at heat impacts of citizens. And the next coalition meeting for this project will be next Monday, and or this coming month, or yeah, Monday, August 25th. So in just 3 days' time. And it will be a virtual meeting. And if you are interested in attending, I'd be glad to share a registration link with you. Just get in touch with either Wally or myself, and I'll be glad to share that information with you. Also, at our last update, I know that there was a request for a map of our community air monitoring sites. So I will, if you'd like, Wally, I can distribute these around the room. This is a community air monitoring map that displays the established community locations that are participating in this network. The sites are categorized by the type of low-cost air sensor, either Clarity or Purple Air, or both. And it also has a breakdown of the type of place that each site represents: park, green space, school, clinic, etc. I will also, I'll go ahead, that's pretty much the update. Our next coalition meeting is going to be covering future planning for the coalition, as well as how the built environment contributes to air quality and what some of the suggested offsets might be.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
I was
about
saying,
the environment. What was that you just said?
our next coalition meeting will be Monday, August 25th. And that meeting is going to be covering the role of the built environment and how that can contribute to poor air quality, and what some of the recommendations what some of the improvements are that can improve air quality. Is that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and pass these off.
Do we have any questions for that? Thank you so much, Juan, for your presentation.
Excellent. Sorry, I do have a quick question. Is this air monitoring available online so we can kind of have a good idea of good days and bad days, or?
Yes, absolutely. All of the air quality data is available in real time, and it's up on our project webpage. And you can see there both clarity and purple air web-based, it's real time. And that's a major focus of this project, is making that information publicly available. So thank you for mentioning it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Karen Smith.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Jerry is not here, he is out today. If technology works, we may be showing you a video. Not sure yet.
Yeah, we're gonna have, our, IT specialist, Daniel. I don't know if he's ready, but, we can share that video. If not,
Danny, are you ready?
And John.
Try now. All right, well, we're having technical difficulties, so I think what I'll do is we'll send the Hillsborough County did a nice, very short video with like a day in the life of the driver, and it came out really well, so I think what we'll do is send the link to Wally, get that to you.
Am I good to share it again?
Hello, my name is William. I'm a mini bus driver for Sunshine Line. Here's a typical day driving a bus. Today we have 9 pickups today total, and we're going to the Gordonville Senior Center. Normally we'll probably have anywhere between 7 and 10. Groups are different than having regular trips going to the doctors and going to the store and stuff, so it's not the same as trips that you would have. For people who can't drive or get around themselves, they typically help them get to where they're going, whether it be a doctor's appointment, to the store, to the mall, to a friend's house, whatever their needs are. Put seatbelts on. Hi. How's it going? Good, good. Yes, ma'am. Caring for the elderly is a lot different from people who can do a little bit more for themselves. Having the compassion to understand, the extra time needed at times and the questions Makes it a little more easier to understand the route that you're having. You have someone that's, needed a little more extra time. Got multiple GPSs.
I heard no you on too.
I did.
Also, we have camera keeping out.
It's 8:57. You too. I'll get you over to her then.
Good morning, sweetheart.
Ooh, it feels good in here. Well, that was my trip. Thank you for riding with me. Hope to see y'all again soon.
So we just wanted to show it because it's part of what the county's doing to try to make the public aware of the program. They posted it on the Instagram site, then they posted it as part of the 813 day with some other county programs, just to make people aware of what we do and, what our drivers do. And that driver was the driver of the year last year also, so, it was nice to be able to highlight him. I handed out the operating statistics. Gary added, I don't normally do last month, the last 3 months, so yeah, he added last year just because I kind of plan comparison, so you can see last year versus this year. We increased the last year versus this year, July. The clients increased by 31%, and the number of bus pass recipients increased by 34%. July over July. The call answer rate improved over last July by over 18%. I don't know if you remember last July, we were short a couple of customer service reps, and during this past year, we added another customer service rep position, and that's also filled, so it's clearly made a difference. And the average hold time increased 65% from 4 minutes last July to 24 seconds this July, so huge improvement there.
That's just right.
Yes, exactly. I'm just reading his notes, so maintaining staffing levels was part of the recommendations in the evaluation from last year. We are at 100% for the call center, including that new position, and at 93% for drivers, which is currently 4 vacancies, and we just finished interviews, so we have 4 people scheduled to start in a couple of weeks. When that next cycle in place goes through. We have 11 new vehicles, they're replacement vehicles they're at fleet, that's being prepared. There's also about 40 other county vehicles that came in, so that takes a little bit of time for them to process them all, registrations, decals, all that. So they should be on the road sometime soon. And then there are more vehicles, some cutaways, some of the smaller Ford Transits that are in the process to be ordered, that is to be approved by the board in September. So those will be in the next order, so we'll have more, but they're all replacement vehicles, but we'll have new vehicles in the fall as well. The mobile application that we talked about, the vendor is still trying to work out some things in the configurations, so that has not gone live yet with the new software. The new software is live, but the mobile app not yet live. We are hoping to start testing that in September. Just so people are aware, because it goes to various boards, we have an agreement with HART that we use to, that basically it's in our local agreement with HART to purchase the bus passes that we issue to our clients. So that's going through the process. It's a multi-year agreement, and we're adding renewals so that we can continue buying these passes for our clients. Buy them from HART at HART's normal rates that are approved by HART's board. So that it's just the mechanism that lets us purchase them. So that's going through the HART board process, and it'll be going to simultaneously to the Board of County Commissioners for approval, so that we make sure we have the current agreement to be doing that. And I think I had got all of his notes, unless you have questions about handout or anything.
Any questions? And, thank you so much for your report. And we're glad that you think so, we are.
That's actually, back. Topic. We are updating the agenda.
Thank you all for setting up. During my tenure here on this board, I think it's about the same amount of time that Jerry's been in charge of Sunshine. Besides, this, we talk about the level of service has risen so high, so, not to say it's light years ahead of where it was. It's done a tremendous job. Improved, just indicative of the average hold time. Minutes, not just seconds. It's used to be a lot of things that did a great job. Just the connectivity and the relationship with heart, well, counts blanket of transportation for everybody. And anybody can get where they need to be. If they just know about it and utilize the resources that are out there. I mean, it's just a good, unless you're here, or involved, we don't know. I know I try to talk it up and tell the terrorists as much as I possibly can, but if there's a blanket that covers the whole town, and anybody who needs to get where they need to be, all three groups. So that's my comment.
Thank you so much, Council, for sharing your comments. I understand, Caroline. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sherna Wilburn, and I serve as the Manager of Van Transportation Services at HART. Today, I'll be providing an update on our HART Plus ADA paratransit service, focusing on ridership, on-time performance, and service trends. I'll just continue on.
No, go ahead.
Our appointment trips. One of our key priorities in paratransit is ensuring our riders arrive on time for their scheduled appointments. I'm pleased to report strong performance in this area with drop-off time percentages of 95.7%. Sorry, 95.7%, 98.6%, and 97.2%. This consistency shows that our team is committed to reliability and understands the importance of getting our riders where they need to be on time. Our pickup on-time performance is always a balancing act, as it can be influenced by traffic, demand fluctuations, and unexpected cancellations. Our current performance stands at 86.9%, 91.4%, and 87.7%. While we continue to see improvements, this is also an area where we're working hard to enhance efficiency. We are adjusting schedules, monitoring traffic patterns, and using our available resources to strengthen our performance in this category. Okay. Cancellations and no-shows affect how we effectively schedule and deliver trips. They also impact other riders who are depending on us. The goal is to make sure that our vehicles and operators are being used effectively as possible. So our no-shows remain consistent from 500 to 550 per month. And our canceled trips decreased from May, which was 3,643 to 3,020, slightly increasing in July. Our subscriptions, which are standing orders, dropped significantly in June to 4,509 trips compared to May, which was 7,443 trips, which due to school, I don't know what's going on with the slides, but I'll continue on. Our subscriptions decreased during our summer months because the kids are out of school. So in July, we started to see them start coming back up. The numbers increased to 12,146. No, I'm sorry, our demand trips. So the subscriptions are standing orders. And then we also have demand trips where the customers call in every day or 3 days in advance of schedule. For May, our demand trips were 10,932. For June, we increased it to 11,442 trips. And for July, we saw 12,146 trips. Okay. Our ridership numbers give us a clear picture of our community needs. We continually see steady demand for our paratransit services, and with that demand comes the responsibility to maintain high-quality service. We remain committed to balancing growth with reliability, ensuring that as more people use Heart Plus, they can continue to count on us for safe, timely, and accessible transportation. So trip duration is another area that we closely monitor because our riders value direct and efficient service. Through routing adjustments and closer coordination with dispatch, we've been able to manage average trip times to keep them reasonable and rider friendly. Our focus is always on reducing unnecessary delays while still covering our service area effectively. Our taxi trips, which are covered by our yellow cab service. Our taxi trips continue to play an important role in the supplementing of our service. These partnerships give us the flexibility to respond quickly to same-day trip needs and help us manage overflow during demand peak times. By incorporating taxi trips into our service delivery, we're able to provide more options for our riders and ensure that they're not left waiting when they need transportation the most. So in closing, I want to emphasize that Heart Plus remains committed to access, reliability, and excellent customer service. We're proud of our progress, mindful of our challenges, and dedicated to continuous improvement for the people we serve. Thank you all, and I'm open for any questions or comments.
And thank you for your presentation. Have any questions?
I'm curious to know about the difference between Sunshine Line and Heart Plus, but one of the comments that I have and what I hear a lot from our clients working with visually impaired is that, yeah, when you schedule transportation, the actual challenge is that the driver sometimes was not system, this, for instance, if they go into a doctor's appointment, and I understand that it's one of the hardest things to do, but the reality is that they might just need direction, or maybe someone just pointing them, hey, you just need to go straight, turn, or whatever. And I just wanted to bring that up. I kind of noticed with Sunshine, the driver literally was out of the van or the bus and kind of like walked up to the client's home.
Heart Plus,
Don't see that with Heart Plus.
well, actually, Heart Plus is supposed to be a door-to-door service. And this is something that we noticed that is an issue, and we are continuing our education of our operators and training. We have our quarterly COI training with our operators, and that is something I'll make sure that we emphasize.
Good. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move right into old business, new business. TDC, members, item 4.
Yeah, that's just a form that I have. Next meeting is, that's online, that is about the certain topics. To be discussed. And the next meeting, I think the date's wrong, we're meeting in October, so.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay,
October 12th or just October 10th?
It's October 20. I got my computer guy, let me pull up the calendar. I think it's October, the last Friday of October,
Gotcha.
but it's not Halloween, I think it's the 20th.
first is a ranch Friday,
So the fourth Friday.
okay, the 24th.
And then we're moving the December meeting to the 12th instead of meeting on.
I think so, I think so.
Day.
I'll confirm.
We might not make quorum on Christmas Day.
Okay,
There.
I think we've exhausted our agenda, for this morning, and thank everyone for their participation. Are there any comments that they do before we start?
Instead of party passes.
Any department that you want? Okay, everyone, stay safe. Enjoy the week and the holiday weekend. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.